Stay with us as we turn this large 45-inch diameter red oak tree into a lot of large tabletop slabs. To do this, we're going to use a giant Granberg chainsaw mill. We'll show you how to do it. Stay with us. Alright, we're going to begin slabbing this big red oak tree. As you can see, it's about 45 inches either way you go at it. So we're going to just start taking off slabs, see how that goes. Probably 3-inch thick slabs as we go. To support this big oversized chainsaw mill, I have built this special heavy-duty scaffolding that holds the chainsaw straight for the first cut on the log, trying to make a flat place for the saw to rest for the next cut. What we're going to do is just take the first cut and try to get it flat. If that's not enough, we'll lower it and cut it again. Till we get a flat place, we can take the stanchions out of the way and cut like we did the pine log. Just lay the bar on the log. Gonna be a big one, 45 inches. Now, this being oak, it ain't gonna be as much fun as that pine was. It's gonna be a little harder cutting.
We got that new chain on.
We got a sharp chain. That's the best we can do is start off with a sharp chain. For this scaffolding to be effective, it must be level side to side. It doesn't really matter that it's level end to end. What is very important though is that from the pith of the log, the center of the log, up to the scaffolding is an equal distance on both ends. We want to capture that pith in the center slab. We don't want that pith running uphill into more than one slab. So set it up properly when you start. Let's just shove that slab out on the ground over there and come back and make another cut, because I don't think we're wide enough. I think we're going to have to use these stanchions to make the next cut. Raise up, well, yeah, you might have to. Just a minute, let me get the other end. There, if you'll raise up. Is that enough wood to rest? Gets pretty thin down here. The first cut with the chainsaw didn't make a wide enough slab to rest that big wide chainsaw mill on. So we're having to cut a second slab, still using the stanchions to support it to keep it level. Hopefully after this slab we can take the stanchions down and begin to rest the chainsaw actually on the log itself to cut future slabs. Now that we have a wide enough slab to support the chainsaw mill, which was 25 inches at the small end, we can take all the scaffolding down and get it out of our way, and we'll just each time now rest the saw on the log and slab itself and keep cutting that way. So we're on the road now. We'll make a little more faster progress. Each of these slabs we're cutting is taking about 30 minutes from the time we touch the chainsaw to the log and saw to the other end. This usually includes a fill up of gas for the chainsaw. We can't cut all the way through without that big chainsaw running dry. So 30 minutes for the cut, and it usually takes about another 30 minutes to get the slab off there and rest a second and then get back to the next. So about 1 hour per slab is what we're running on the production here.
It's really tough with this thing.
Got that tape measure on you? How big is this slab right here?
inches.
37 inches. Let's go to the other end. And it's 30 what?
30 and 3/4.
30 and 3/4. Almost 31 inches on the other end. Okay. Whoop. Oh, thickness. What? Are we still on 2 1/4 thick?
2 5/8.
2 5/8. Okay, that's good. That'll work. All right, now if we can get all these slabs anchor sealed on the end grain so they won't crack open, we'll be in much better shape. Looks like some beautiful grain in there to me. Oh man, look at that. That's some pretty stuff there. Sure has some unique grain in it. You know, you put a nice sand that thing and put a nice clear finish on it, man, that'll make a tabletop that you could sit there and study for hours just following the grain.
Or a desk.
Yeah, desk, bar top, whatever. What I want to take a second to talk about was this is a Stihl 880 saw, and this is a Granberg, what they call a 60-inch chainsaw mill. And 60 inches is supposed to be what it cuts, but if I take and measure there, actually I'm getting 67 inches of clear sawing that I can do. Obviously there's not that big a log here, but quite often we will do logs that go out this large and then they'll have a wide branch on it. They make great tabletops of high interest. So we'll cut through that Y, and we need this Y to saw for that. Now, one thing that you got to get ready for if you have one of these saws is from the tip of that chain to the saw here is 7 feet. That means there is 14 feet of chain running around this saw. And that's why it takes such a big motor just to pull that amount of chain. On top of that, that chain is not your typical 375 or 3/8 chain. This is 404 logger chain. And it is full chisel, which means there's a cutter on every other tooth rather than skipping some. So it takes a pretty big high horsepower machine to do this. We started out trying to pull this thing with a 660 saw, and it just didn't have enough power. So now we got a Stihl 880 driving it, and it is able to pull it. So we're going to start cutting again on this red oak log this morning and go ahead and cut some slabs. I readjusted the bar here to where we're cutting 3-inch thick cuts. So we're going to have a little thicker slab than we cut the other day. So we're going to get at it. It's been very necessary to use that John Deere tractor and a front end loader on it to come up and get these slabs off of this log. Each slab weighs around 700 pounds. Given that it's wet green wood, it's a 700-pound slab right now. All right, let me talk a minute about one thing. The last time when we cut this number 4 slab, the 4th one off this log, because this log was so wide, we seesawed the saw through the wood, only cutting basically 45-degree angles or half the log at once, and then we would swap and cut the other half. It's more efficient on the chainsaw, and it's quicker, we figured out, to cut through the log that way. That's the good part. The downside is, as you swing it sometimes, you get these grooves in it, where you change, when you stop and change the angles. So, this one we used, and we cut the whole thing just straight through. Now, even doing that, we got a mark there and a littler wasn't there. So it's slightly smoother. So the question is it worth it to cut a slightly smoother slab than cut a slab much quicker, more production? Because you swing it, you're cutting on half the log, the sawmill runs more wide open, which makes the chain speed go faster and faster. This was pulling the saw down, if you listen to it on the previous videos, which slows the chain speed. So this log was slower to cut than this one here. So another thing you need to consider is right now these logs are perfectly flat because we just cut them. Now these got to dry. This is 3-inch thick log or slab, and it's got to dry 2 to 3 years in my solar kiln over here before it is going to be dry. You just can't dry this thick of wood quickly, and in that process of drying, any stresses in the wood is going to make it cut, make it twist. If there's any knots in it, they'll kind of rise up or fall down. So the slab becomes uneven over the drying process over the next 2 to 3 years. So that means the last one of these I took to a planer. There's a business in Dallas that sells wholesale lumber, but processes various wood for contractors. And in their place, they have a 42-inch wide thickness planer. The last one of these slabs I took up there, they had to run 4 times through each side of the log. In other words, 8 trips through that planer to get that slab flat. Each run was taking off about 1/16 of an inch of wood. So all these marks like this will be cut off the time they get these slabs flattened in the final process. So I think we're going to go back to seesawing because one, we just get it done faster, and I don't think the difference, look at that mark there, I don't think the difference is worth the time waste of trying to run the chainsaw mill through there straight versus flat, because eventually we're going to have to run them through a planer to clean them up before we can use them once they're dry. And now this log is wet. It's probably 35–40% moisture. You can see the difference between this one was exposed for a couple of days and then that one just cut, how much wetter it looks in there. So these slabs now have 35, maybe 45% moisture in them, and we can't use them until they get down around 10 or 12% moisture. And being this thick and this wide, this will take 2 to 3 years in a solar kiln. I do not dry big slabs like this in a kiln because the temperature rises so quick and the slab is so thick, what it ends up doing is drying it on the outside, but it's still wet in the middle. And some of these people that use these kilns will just keep turning the temperature up to try to get it dry. Well, what that does is case hardens the outside because they overheated the slab. And that's why I use a solar kiln. And maximum temperature these things are ever probably exposed to is in the middle of summer. If it's 100 degrees outside, that solar kiln will be 125 degrees or something. And that's about the highest it ever gets. But anyway, we're looking at 2 to 3 years to dry these slabs, and then we'll plane them off and make them just some beautiful tabletops. This is really unique wood got some very distinctive grain in it. It's going to be beautiful in the final product. You'll notice that we are driving wedges between the slab and the big log. We do that here and we'll continue to do it all the way down. If we don't, that big heavy slab will pinch the chainsaw and make it work harder. So we have to keep a gap in there where there's no pressure on the chainsaw from the slab's weight. All this slabbing and sawmill work took a total of 24 working hours to complete, along with 24 hours of video from 3 cameras. It has now taken me 4 days just to edit all of that into this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button down at the bottom and show us how much you appreciate the effort we're going to show you these things. Also subscribe to our channel so you'll get notified when we have new videos come out, and share them with your friends so that they can find our channel also. We would appreciate that as a return for all the effort we're making to bring you this. This 6-inch slab is the center of the log that contains the pith. We will later on take this big slab up to the sawmill, and on one side we're going to cut a 6-inch square post out of it. And on the other side, we're going to cut 1-inch thick lumber that is 6-inch wide. We're doing that because we never want a slab with a pith inside, because it sure will make it warp and crack and change shape.
Gotta go.
Remember that it takes in excess of 30 minutes just to pull this chainsaw mill through this 10.5-foot long log, and will burn more than a tank of gas. We'll have to stop somewhere and refuel. It's just a lot of work to go through slabs this wide.
I want to say the chainsaw's getting dull. Maybe it's just that dang oak's just dang hard. Well, this is slab number 7. Number 7. Already.
Stay with us to the very end of this video, where I have a big chart showing you exactly how many board feet was produced in each one of these slabs and how many board feet was produced in the total log. It'll be at the very end because it's just a big chart, so stay with us for that. Get the chainsaw, and all we can do is take the chainsaw and run a crooked line through it, but probably right down the pit. It's no good, so we need a string line. Let's pop a string line through the center and just use the chainsaw to rip it. Meanwhile, we'll get the grapple holders so we're always on. We'll cut this side, it's just easier. You'll just find the center there and go around it. There, just close it. Just leave a rough cut. Alright. There's good for me. Ready? Maybe pop it. Oh, as you can see, this is way too tall for the sawmill, so we popped the string line right off the pith here, and we will be trying to use the chainsaw to cut this thing in half, and we will mill it in as 2 pieces. Thanks a lot for Sully's help. This is a tremendous labor effort, and it wouldn't have happened without his help. It takes 2 people to do a lot of this stuff. So he was a big help on this thing, and we appreciate him. Here we are in the solar kiln where we got all the slabs and lumber that we produce from that one 45-inch diameter log. Following this talk is a chart that outlines how many board feet is in each of these slabs and boards. A total of 864 feet of lumber come out of this one log. So, quite a take. Beautiful slabs, some of them more than 40 inches wide, some of them a little less. Now this log did taper from one end to the other, and this chart shows you how much the taper is from one end to the other. So, just something you have to deal with. Trees don't grow like barrels, they grow at a taper. So, be aware of that when you choose slabs. But anyway, it's done. It needs to sit here 2 to 3 years till about 2024, 2025 before it's going to be, these slabs are going to be dry. But there is some gorgeous grain in them, and it is going to make some beautiful tabletops at that point. So we're looking forward to that. But like all slab lumber projects, when you cut them green, you just have to have a lot of patience for them to sit here and dry 2 to 3 years before they're done. Meanwhile, we've got 22 oak boards here, 1 1/8 inch thick by 6 inches wide, that we can use for various projects. Those should dry here after one summer of drying. They'll dry in the solar kiln. These beams here, it would take years for those to dry. I saved those for either post or maybe cut them into wood turning projects where we can hollow them out and help them dry. But in a solar kiln, you're just not going to dry these things short of, I'm guessing 5 to 10 years of sitting here before they would get dry. And then they're going to crack because they're going to dry from the outside in. So anytime you're dealing with thick stuff like this, you just got to expect it to crack as it dries. It's just the nature of wood, and we just have to learn to deal with it. If you like this video, in about a month, I'm publishing one where we went to Ranger, Texas and cut cedar elm trees. Brought back a whole load of them and unloaded them this morning, but it's going to take a while for me to process the video into a YouTube video. So look forward to it in about a month from now, and there's some really neat information about cedar elm. The reason I went and got those cedar elm is cedar elm's a hard, light colored wood, and I've had a bunch of people request cutting board material. And so cedar elm fits that bill. So I've got those logs, and we're going to do a video on cutting the trees, bringing them here, and then sawmilling them into the pieces that we would make cutting boards out of. So look forward to that video here in about a month. Until then, glad y'all dropped by.